Good evening. It's WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Good evening. Let me see who's in the house this evening. Let me check out the chat and see. Just come on in. Tell me where you're from, who you are, and where you're from. And we're going to get this party started. It is Wednesday, and that means it's WealthyU Wind Down. And this is where we get together and we chat about all things about wealth, from investing to career to we've talked about Bitcoin, we've talked about relationships. So you're in. Let me give everybody just a few minutes and we'll get this party started. So let's see. Let me give some shout outs. We've got Cheryl from Monroe, Louisiana. All right. Fatima from North Carolina. I love it. We've got people from everywhere. Lillian from the Bay Area, sunny California. We used to live in Concord and Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek. We've got some more Louisiana. What do you call yourselves? Louisianans? In the house. Valencia from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Patricia from Atlanta. Atlantans always in the house, holding it down. Love it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, we try to keep it together, in these COVID times. So I really appreciate that. Darlene from Lawrenceville, New Jersey in the house. Man, we going East Coast, West Coast, South, New York. Yeah. Hey, Pauline, welcome to WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday. We are on all platforms. So good evening, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, founder and CEO of WealthyU, also known as America's Wealth Coach. And this is where we teach Black women how to build their investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond. And we've got the receipts, y'all, to prove it. So come on in. We're really excited because our new program, Get Wealthy, just launched on the Black Star Network. So if you have not downloaded that app, then you need to go to blackstarnetwork.com, download the app. For those of you who are in the WealthyU community, you know that we have every episode pinned to the top, so you are able to view each episode. And in the chat, let me know, for those of you who have been viewing Get Wealthy, what do you think about our new show? Let me know. Give me some feedback. Are you learning? Because that certainly is the reason for our show Get Wealthy and for WealthyU. Thank you, Gwen. Yes, great platform. But before we get started, it is WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday, and that means it's time for you to get your favorite glass of wine, your favorite vino. I'm again drinking a cab, and let me see. This is a Artemis Stag's Leap from Napa, California, one of my all-time favorite places. And we visited Napa last year, and I didn't realize how close I lived to Napa Valley when we lived in California in Concord. I was like, in Nation Valley Road, yeah. And then like an hour later, we were in Napa, and I was like, how come we weren't here every weekend? Well, when you have young kids, it's just not that kind of life. So anyhow, let me give a toast to all of you. And let's get this party started. Yeah, so if you haven't been listening, if you haven't watched our new show, you have got to take a look, because what's so exciting for me is that when I interview our WealthyU members, I know their story, but I don't know what they're going to share, particularly because it's TV. And what I am so grateful for is just the level of transparency that all of the episodes that you're going to see. Now, you're going to see some amazing episodes. How many of you saw Dr. Sharon Dean's interview? That was our first episode. How many of you saw that? In the chat, let me know. If you're on Facebook, in the comments, let me know. If you're on YouTube, in the comments, let me know, because yes, we are broadcasting on all platforms. And what I want to ask you is, from that first episode, what was your takeaway? Because that's what I really want you guys to all understand, that Get Wealthy is not just a program about you watching and listening to what people are doing. One of the points I want to make is you need to come away from each one of these episodes with a nugget that you can act on, and the way you're going to discern which piece of information or strategy shared that you should implement is you're going to be looking for the one thing that you can do that will make the most impact. I want you guys to get this, because so much of the time we are passively watching and not actively looking for ways through which we can impact our own condition. So let me just see. Yes, I saw Dr. Dean's. She learned the process and used it. Mindset, strategy, execution. That is our framework. And in fact, that is the exact framework that we talk about even on Get Wealthy. One of the points that I've made to all of you, that so much of the work that needs to be done that could really allow you to achieve the level of financial success you desire and deserve really starts here. And it's, so much of it is deprogramming what you have learned. Because clearly, if what we have been taught about this so-called American dream was true, then all of us would be financially successful. Agree or disagree? Let me go back to some of these comments. Laurel says, nothing is impossible without strategy and action. That's exactly right, Laurel. Thank you for sharing that, because that's definitely one of the messages that we want you to get. For those of you who are in the WealthyU community, if you haven't joined, make sure you join our free community on Facebook. For those of you who are already in our WealthyU coaching programs, whether it's WealthyU Society or whether it's our Legacy Wealth Accelerator, you know you need to be internalizing these concepts. So that's right. Deborah Sylvester says diversification of portfolio. Yes, and I think that, what I loved about Dr. Dean's story is she really shared diversification not only of her portfolio, but diversification of her income streams. Would you guys agree? That's right. And so here's what I'm really excited about, though. So that was episode 1, right? Okay. So here's what we dropped on Monday. Take a look. On the next Get Wealthy, why Black women are deeper in student loan debt than anyone else.
I wanted to be the next Connie Chung. Nothing was going to get in my way. What was placed in front of me was a promissory note that said that, hey, if you sign this document, you can be able to achieve your dream, not really understanding the full foresight of what I was going to be experiencing right after college.
Learn how you can turn it around and get wealthy in the process. Right here on Black Star Network with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, host of Get Wealthy. That's right. So that was the episode that dropped on Monday. If you have not seen that episode, then you definitely want to go back and watch it. Again, for those of you who we've pinned it in the WealthyU community, if you're watching on another platform, you can go to blackstarnetwork.com and download the app, and then be prepared to see our next episodes that are coming up. So I just wanted to recap. Here's the thing about Tamika's story that I think all of you can learn from. And it really is that she not only took action in spite of all of the student loan debt she had. She paid off over $60,000 in student loan debt, $40,000 of it in less than 18 months. And then even though she'd been building her portfolio, she accelerated her retirement plan to 6 figures, right? So how did she do that? She was very, very purposeful. And the insight that she gave, how many of you watched that episode? If you watched it, I want to ask you the question, what were your takeaways? I mean, how many of you had student loan debt, still have student loan debt, and are trying to figure out what you need to do in order to eliminate it? So what's interesting is Dr. Deans also paid off her debt, because she had a severance to do it. But what I want you to see is that you can still achieve that if you have discipline. Fatima said, figure out some extra streams of income. Now, here's what I want to tell all of you, is that if you want to be more, you have to do more. I want you to get this. If you want more, if you want to be more, you have to do more. And I think all of the women that you've seen so far, Dr. Sharon Deans and Tamika, emulate that. They are, I'm just amazed. Sometimes I'm talking to women and they'll say things like, oh, well, I work, I don't have enough time, I can't do this, I can't do that. Listen, one of the things I know, even the people on my team, not only do they have multiple streams of income, but they have multiple side hustles. And the reason that they're able to accelerate their financial growth is because they have made the shift from an income mindset. See, many of you still have that earner mindset. You feel like, oh, well, if I just get this job, that this one job is going to take care of my needs. And that's the worst thing you can do, is put all your eggs in one basket, especially as it relates to your income. So here's the shift I want you to understand, is that you need to identify what are your unique gifts and talents and how you could use it to create value for others. And that's how you create those other streams of income. One of my mantras in WealthyU is, many of you are standing 10 feet away from gold, and yet you don't realize it because you're so focused on what you don't have or not losing than to creating the financial success you desire and deserve. I think that Tamika is a wonderful example of what it means to use your unique gifts and talents to really up-level your income. And to that end, one of the other things I'm excited about is that we have a Legacy Wealth Masterclass coming up. And what is the theme? Leveling up to accelerate your financial growth, because that's what you have to do, ladies. If you feel like you're going to sit here and continue to do the same thing you're doing and expect a different result, you do all understand that is called insanity, right? You understand what that means, right? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I want to talk just a minute about our Legacy Wealth Masterclass that is coming up. It is March 12th. It's from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And all day we're going to be sharing exactly what you need to do to level up to accelerate your financial growth. We have some amazing speakers coming. First up, y'all all need, and by the way, if you're already in the WealthyU Society or Legacy Wealth Accelerator, please don't buy a ticket. Membership has privileges, ladies, and all you got to do is show up. You don't need a registration or email or anything. You just got to show up, because you're going to get the nice little link and access to the Legacy Wealth Accelerator Masterclass, and you're going to be in the house. But for those of you who are not in the house, well, you just missed out on a little deal, right? And that was, we had our insider tickets for $47. They sold off. The investment, if you will, in the Legacy Wealth Masterclass is $197 full price. But guess what? We haven't let you off. You need to get in contact if you're in the WealthyU community and you have a WealthyU ambassador, and they got another code they're going to drop on you. It's called the Insider Code, and you'll still get 50% off. Now, for those of you who are watching me on other platforms, just come on over to the WealthyU community on Facebook. Get yourself a WealthyU ambassador and get in on what we're up to. But I just want to review just a minute and let you guys know why the Legacy Wealth Masterclass has been designed the way that it is. You know, we really, the team is always looking at your comments, getting your feedback. And by the way, just as an aside, I heard that there were more than almost 60 women in our last skill building class on analyzing and researching mutual funds, and that I got to give my WealthyU teammate, Anita Jenkins, a high five, because I heard she knocked it out of the park. But it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And so I just wanted to mention that, because in this Legacy Wealth Masterclass, we're always looking at what your needs are and how can we serve you in a way and give you access to the knowledge and tools that you need so that so you can accelerate your financial growth, right? And so we have designed this masterclass, which we give quarterly. Typically quarterly or every 4 months we have a masterclass, and this theme is leveling up. And so one of the things that we know is that in order to level up, sometimes, how many of you can agree with this? That sometimes you don't even know what to do, right? Like you're seeking and you're searching and you're trying to find, and you see other people and they're getting ahead and you're wondering why you're not getting ahead. Can anybody relate to that? Anybody relate to that? Like you're searching, you're seeking, yeah, you're wondering. That's right. You're wondering, how come I'm not getting ahead? Do you ever feel that way? Well, part of it is because you need, in order to go to the next level, somebody has to take you there, ladies. Do y'all understand? In order to go to, so what I'm saying is that you need additional insight, because there's only so much of working on your own strength that's what got you to where you are. Here's what I want you to understand. Is to what the level of knowledge and insight that has you at your current level, right, will not get you to that next level. Somebody needs to write this down. What got you here is not going to take you to the next level. And that relates to all of us. And that's why I am a lifelong learner myself and am always engaged in, I'm in 2 masterminds right now. Why? Because I know if this team is going to achieve our goal of helping 1 million Black women get to $1 million in net worth, that it is going to take some more insight, knowledge, investment, and all of that in order to do it. So that's what I want for you. If you're ready to go from 6 to 7 figures and beyond, then you're going to need a different level of insight and knowledge and execution in order to do that. And so that's why we design the master classes the way we do, typically with a theme and really to address the needs, right, and the gaps and the obstacles that many of you are facing. So very briefly, I just want to talk to you how we have designed the day. So first up is Sherry Sims. She is the founder and CEO of Black Career Women's Network. And her whole focus is helping women level up in their career. She's going to be really focusing on what you need to shift to lead, level up and lead like a boss, right? And so that's at every level. Like if you want to go from a solopreneur to a multi-million-dollar corporation, guess what? You got to become a leader. If you want to make more money in your career, then you got to become a leader, because your income is directly correlated to the number of people that are in the span of your control. And if any of my women here were at our last master class and heard Stella Agdawu's talk, she broke it down. Am I right or am I right, ladies? Right? And Tracy says, yes, there is also so much info out there. Don't know where to start on my own. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Tracy, I'm so glad you said that. Because some of you are just consuming a lot of information, and then you get into what? Analysis paralysis. A confused mind does nothing. Right? A confused mind does nothing. That's why you need a framework. That's why we have mindset, strategy, execution. That's why we have the 7 wealthy habits of financially successful women, to give you a framework through which you can evaluate, emulate, and model the behavior. That's why you see so many of our women profiled, because you need to be looking at the steps that they took so that you can apply it to yourself. So that's why Wealthy You is not about me or what I did or how I did this and blah, blah, because it means absolutely nothing, right? I mean, come on. You see all these gurus out here with their cars. And, I just saw this rapper. He was mad because he went into the Gucci store and they didn't give him VIP service. And I'm like, Gucci ain't did nothing for you, boo. Why are you trying to give them people your money? Trust and believe. I don't get it, but it goes back to what Dr. Sharon Dean says about wearing your wealth, right? Wearing our wealth. We so busy wanting to flaunt our wealth that we're not making our money grow. I had to look. Gucci is public. I wonder if he owns anything, because the strategy should be to become a shareholder so you can bust up in that shareholders meeting and get a bunch of other people riled up. But when if you don't have an owner mentality, if you don't even know how the process works, then you don't have power. Okay, so I know I digress. So Sherry's going to join us, founder of Black Career Women's Network. And by the way, if you want to join us, go to the website right now. You can go to WealthyUMasterclass.com, WealthyUMasterclass.com, put in Insider in the promo code, and you'll get $97, right? Okay, for a limited time. I'm just telling you. That is for a limited time. Okay, so next up, my good friend, my good girlfriend, Jandy Turner, bad sister, owner, CEO of Acuity Events, takes women golfing all over the world, and she's going to be dropping her knowledge about the business of golf. And so you're going to have to learn how to level up on the links, right? All about the business of golf and why golf is so much more. Let's see. So we've got Jandy. Oh, now everybody needs to be in the house for this, because I'm going to tell you something. I just learned about the power of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the biggest opportunities that far too many people are missing out on, and it's a way for you to attract that next opportunity that you want, whether you're an employee or whether you're a business owner. We're spending a lot of time on LinkedIn right now around content, and so our next expert, Adrienne Simpson, is coming in the house, and she's going to show you how to level up on LinkedIn, level up on your profile on LinkedIn. Hundreds of millions of people are there. Every employer of any significance has a presence on LinkedIn. All the recruiters are there. I believe just for my own son, every opportunity he's ever gotten, he hasn't even looked for. They found him. And my daughter, we're always saying, well, what? We're like, man, he really knows how to manifest things. But hey, if you work it, it'll work, right? And so that's what Adrienne Simpson's coming to share with us. And then, of course, I already shared with you Tamika. Not only has this girl went from $60,000 in debt to a six-figure retirement portfolio, but the way she did it really was positioning her profile to prosper. And so she's going to really be sharing with you what she used to really market herself so that opportunities are created. So you've got to know how to stand out, how to tell your own story, and how to market your brand. And so she's going to be sharing this. It's phenomenal. That's all I have to say. And then let's see, and then our own Michelle Smith, one of our ambassadors, is going to be sharing what she's done to level up her income, right? And so Michelle is an accomplished director for a government agency. She's also building her, she's also a member success supervisor here on the WealthyU team, as well as sharing different ways that she's honing her skills. And that's what all of you need to know. So you are not going to want to miss that day. And of course, I will be sharing my insight around you identifying what your unique gifts and investment opportunity levers. And so if you haven't got your ticket, then you want to make sure you do so. All right. So, sound good? Tell me if you think that the content that we have created for this master class is on point. Let me have some feedback in the chat, ladies. Is the theme leveling up to accelerate your financial growth on point? All right, that's what I want to hear. If you haven't got in the chat, in the comments, we'll make sure that one of the team members puts exactly how you can level up, how you can join us in the Legacy Wealth Masterclass. So how many of you have been watching the investment markets? I want to shift for a little bit here, a little bit. Now, I remember just a couple of weeks, all of y'all were well, not a couple of weeks, couple of months, everybody was talking, oh, my portfolio, I don't want to look at it. Do you know that the NASDAQ today, I mean, it was up 2% in one day. I mean, think about it. The average return is, 10%, and you got the NASDAQ up in one day. And so what is really driving the NASDAQ specifically? The NASDAQ is the electronic exchange, unlike the New York Stock Exchange, where many companies start, right? Because in order to get on the New York Stock Exchange, you have to have so much capitalization, meaning that your share price has to be a certain level and you have to have so many shares, right? And I forget what the litmus test for that is, but you got to have a lot of capital in order to get listed on the New York Stock Exchange and a track record. Just not anybody can just break out on the New York Stock Exchange. So that's why many companies start on the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ, sometimes you can come out as little as $10 a share, but it's where companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft got their start. Now, the interesting thing, typically when companies get really large like that, what they do is they're like, hey, it's like I was in Macy's, right? But now I'm Saks, Bloomie's level, so I can go to the New York Stock Exchange if I was, so like NASDAQ is kind of like, TJ Maxx, you know what I'm saying? Nordstrom Rack, okay? Whereas the New York Stock Exchange, that's like shopping the market at Bloomie's, What are some other highfalutin stores I should start? But so many of them went out of business here lately. Amazon's just been a retail killer, Bendell's and all those highfalutin stores, but you get my drift. And so basically, what has been driving the NASDAQ's appreciation here as of late is Google came out and their earnings were up 32 or 36% for the quarter. Huge, right? Huge. Neiman Marcus, that's right, Carolyn. Carolyn, I know you a shopper, sis, because you broke out with that Neiman Marcus, but that's you get my drift. That's New York Stock Exchange. Needless markup is what I like to call Neiman Marcus. However, that was a great example. Thank you for that, Carolyn. So anyhow, that's right. Gucci. Don't get me started on Gucci today. So anyhow, what is driving the appreciation of the NASDAQ? So Google came out with some phenomenal earnings. Apple's earnings, here's what's interesting about Apple. Apple say, well, yeah, we did okay, but our costs are going up. And you know what that means? They rather than charging you $1,000 for that next Apple phone, they gonna charge you $2,000, talking about inflation and all of that. And, basically they just got a license to print money because, what y'all doing all day? What am I doing all day? Okay, who just called? Who did this? Who tweeted? Who, so we're on these phones, right? So what is driving appreciation on the NASDAQ are all those companies like Apple, like Google. There are some companies having some problems. Netflix came out with their earnings and their subscribers, they didn't have the growth. Because guess who's on their tail? Disney's streaming service. They picked up like 20 million new subscribers, right? So if you, and that's the interesting thing though. So I just want you guys to think. I want you to think about investing as, like as shopping, right? So think about it this way, with COVID, you might have said, Disney, ain't nobody going to those parks. Nobody's going on cruises, but you don't realize that what Disney has done in the past 5 years is they've really acquired a bunch of digital media assets from Pixar Studios, right? So they're making the programming, and now Disney has exclusive rights, and now you can only watch it, if you subscribe to Disney. And now I just want you to think about the fact that all these kids are at home. Are you kidding me? I would have Disney plus if I had me some children, some young children, right? So I just want you to see what's driving demand, right? So Disney has this streaming service. They're thinking future. They don't know COVID's happening. They didn't know, just like any of us didn't know. But it kind of like was, like the stars were aligned for them, because at the same time that they were acquiring all these different studios who were producing this programming for children are now on lockdown. What are you going to do as a parent? I mean, come on now. I would have Disney over here, Disney over there, Disney, I didn't have a little iPad. Now I see all these people with these kids, they got their little iPad with them, they're like, they go out to dinner, they put the little iPad right there so they could like chill with one another. But the reason that I want you to be aware of this, ladies, is that is your superpower. I want y'all to get this. I posted this CNBC segment, and it talked about the fact that black buying power had hit another record, but at the same time the wealth gap had widened, right? So my point is that we are very discerning consumers. And what I want you to understand is that you can use that same knowledge to be a successful investor, because that's exactly what you have to be able to do, is to understand and observe consumer behavior. Because consumer behavior then means if somebody is going to buy more of something, that increase in purchasing of a specific product or service is more than likely going to increase the profits of the companies that are delivering the products and services. Is this making sense to you guys? I mean, I don't want to get too deep and too technical, but I want you to understand what is driving the profits of these companies, and it really is consumer behavior. Right now, one of the other aspects of this increase is in the NASDAQ is the fact that, and I just want to look this up so I get this right, guys, is the fact that Google announced that it is going to split, right? And so Google Alphabet is what it's called now, was at $3,000 a share. And they have announced that they're going to do a 20-to-1 split. Now, what is a split? So here's what happens with a stock split is when a company's share price gets really high, like Google's is at 3,000, Tesla's had gotten to the several thousands, Apple had did the same thing. One of the things they will do is they will split the stock so that they can bring the share price down, right? So when Google has it split, for every one share, you're going to get 19 more shares. So 20 shares, right? And what will happen is the price of Google will go from $3,000 a share to $150, right? Because I'm going to divide 20 into 3,000, and that's going to give me $150 a share. So why do they do that? Because it's much easier if I want to buy, 10 shares at $150, that's $1,500, right? Whereas 10 shares at $3,000, that's $30,000. So to the average investor's psychology, they feel like a lower share price makes it more affordable and more accessible for them. So if I got $3,000 and I just buy one share, I got one share of Alphabet, right? Whereas, you kind of feel like you got a little more in your pocket if you own 20 shares, one share instead of one share. Agree or disagree with me, right? So Melissa says some of these shares are too expensive to invest in. Yes and no. Okay? Yes and no. Because I want you guys to get this. Because the numbers are still the same. Right? Whether you got one share at 3,000 or you got 150 shares, 20 shares at 150. Because at the end of the day, what you're looking at is the share price increasing in value. This is all I want you to understand. Like if I got 3,000, one share at 3,000, and it goes up to 3,300, I'm up 10%. That's all I want you to see, that the reason that they reduce these share prices is more psychological than anything else. That's one way you can look at it. But the other way, though, is if I have 20 more shares, then for every dollar a share goes up in price, if I've got 20 of them, my appreciation seems like it's a lot greater. Agree or disagree? I just want you guys to get this. And so, I know I'm taking the long route around, but I really like to try to explain this in a way that you can understand. So, one of the other things that they're hoping is that because now that they've brought the share price down, that eventually Google will become a part of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Right now, when you get accepted into an average, whether it's the S&P 500, which is 500 of the largest stocks, or 30 of the Dow is only 30 stocks, what would happen is then every time any company that has an index fund, right, like Fidelity's S&P 500 fund, Vanguard, which was the inventor of the index fund, if I have a Dow Jones Industrial Average Index fund and Google is a part of that index, then everybody who's got a Dow Jones Industrial Average Index fund, they got to put Google in it. And so that in itself would create more demand. This is the theory that many people, Dow hasn't said they're going to put it in there. The folks over at Dow Jones hadn't said that they're going to add Google and take something out. But one of the reasons that they add different companies is because there's a season. You with me? Like sometimes companies can, kind of go out of fashion. It used to be called the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and they had a lot of like train stocks, stuff like that. Their train stocks aren't, they're not really a big thing. You with me? You guys follow me? Thank you, Lillian. I want to give you a little education on the backstory behind this. And so that's part of what is driving this NASDAQ rally. The S&P 500 was also up as well. And I guess what I want to say to all of you is that's why you got to play the long game, ladies. That's why you're an investor. You're not a trader. People that try to trade on the market's going down, I'm going to run out, I'm going to move my money around. As soon as you move your money around, guess what? Something changes, right? And so the most important thing that you can do is to position yourself to prosper. And the way you do that, and the way we teach you in WealthyU to do that, is to analyze, optimize, and maximize. And you do that first by analyzing a company, analyzing a mutual fund, look at the fundamentals, right? Which is some of the things I just described to you. Sales are going up. The environment has changed. Kids are sitting at home. Now you got to buy Disney Plus because Disney's the only game in town other than Nickelodeon and everything. And now Netflix really changed the game with all of them, right? Because what happened is that most of the time you bought that stuff in a bundle through your cable provider, right? And your cable provider allowed you to kind of pick and choose, like if you wanted a family pack and this and that, and that's how you got Disney. Now all of them, like, they unraveled that chain because they saw Netflix come in and just like, boom. They saw Netflix come in and say, hey, I don't worry about missing any show. Quite frankly. If I want to watch something, I just say, okay, I got a little time here. I'm going to watch this series. And, just boom, go through all of them. I mean, that didn't exist into Netflix. Right? I want you guys to get this. So there is no longer really must-see TV. And by the way, that's the awesome thing about Get Wealthy. If you missed it, you can go right on our WealthyU Community or go right on the Black Star Network, and it will start as if you're watching it for the first time. So you can never miss Get Wealthy. And I'll tell you, I don't want you to miss it because you'll be missing out on some very valuable information. But what I also want you to understand is that not only did, Netflix change the game in terms of how we view things, but Netflix changed the game in terms of how much we paid for service, right? So they came in and originally, and I think many of you, it was like $7.99. Poof, what's $7.99 after you've been paying a $200 cable bill, right? You like, sign me up. And we were already trying to, many of us were already trying to figure out, I ain't watching 500 channels. Let me just give me a little bit of, y'all agree? I don't know about, but if you've been through the Savvy Money Makeover, you know that used to be the biggest item on how you could make over your finances, find you an extra, couple of $100 a month. But the reason I say that is because in order to be a successful investor, you have to be an observer. And if you start observing, just like you observe everything else, when prices are going up, when prices are going down, right, You know when you go to certain places and you see people's behaviors change, right? So let me tell you, the new thing is, and I was just listening to this report on NPR today, and they were talking about the fact that Ford and another company, they're now manufacturing electric trucks. You know, like those F-150s, they now have the technology through which they can create large enough batteries for that kind of, truck, so large, right? So, like the Teslas, those are small cars. Oh yeah, Tesla's coming out with a truck too. Do you know there is so much demand that they may not be able to meet it for years? Okay, so now if you heard that story, ladies, what would be a good investment? Right? Now, first of all, the first question you want to answer is, why is there so much demand for these trucks? Why? EV trucks, that's what electric vehicle truck. Why is there so much demand? That's the first question that I want to answer. Anybody know why there's so much demand? That's right, Lillian. Gas prices are so high. So what that did for all, I hadn't seen so many trucks. I mean, and my husband and I saw what is that makes the not the Expedition, a Lincoln Navigator truck. I was like, what? Yes. So that's right. So what has a demand for all of that? In fact, Tesla had a bang up year. I think they sold over 200,000 cars in 1 year, their best year ever. And so what drove that, ladies? Climate change too. That's good. So I don't know, like we have an amazing member. She's actually teaching our real estate class, but she's about to launch her own VC firm. Really smart lady. But what she talks about is investment themes, right? And how you can apply this to anything that you do. And so what is the theme that we're discussing right now? What is the theme? In the chat, let me see if you can answer the investment theme that we are discussing is really environmental protection and environmental conservation, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about conserving energy. And so that's right. What should we be thinking about investing in? The people who make batteries. In fact, if you listen to Dr. Dean's talk, she talked about her Amazon Prime DSP, which are the delivery service trucks, and the fact that she was asking somebody in one of the warehouses who made a certain product. So it's not, so yes, we need to be looking at EV charging stations. Who's making the batteries? Thank you, Gwen. Thank you. Solar. Huge. I don't know about you, but everywhere I look, every other house is like, oh, they're getting solar panels now. Oh, they're getting solar panels. But the thing is, when we moved from our other home to this home, it's been amazing how efficient the heating is. I mean, it's like, it's not a small house, but it's like 1/3 the amount of cost because everything's so energy efficient, right? So when you're thinking about investment thesis. In fact, the other thing that I wanted to announce tonight was that for our next, make sure that you know what stock we are studying for our stock to study for our next Analyze and Research Stock skill building session. I do want to ask why I have some of you who are here with me on Zoom and who attended the Analyzing and Researching Mutual Funds. How did that feel to have a specific fund that you were researching all together? I really would love to hear how what that experience was like. Awesome, Zerlene says, great, Zerlene, because I know that you have been through, both, at the other Analyzing and Researching. So what I want you to understand is we're listening to you. Cheryl says, great. We're listening to you. We did a survey. Gwen said it was good to go through it step by step. That's right. And the feedback that we got from so many of you, it was that you wanted it to be more of a kind of not study group, but that it was actionable and that you were applying what you were learning. Jerry, excellent. I'm glad to hear that, because you're gonna see more of that as we. Carolyn said, made it easier to understand. There's nothing like doing something all at the same time, and so that you could see, if you got something wrong, how you got it wrong, right? And so look for more of that to come. And I always have my little marching orders from the team. So I'm just looking here to make sure that I covered all of it. But now I just want to open it up. You guys got any questions for me? Have you been enjoying? Are there any topics that you want me to talk about on WealthyU Wind Down? Did you enjoy my explanation of the stock splits and what's going on with Google? Because we want to provide more context, right? So that you can see how everyday events are impacting. Like you can see the relevancy. Like you hear, oh, Google split. Well, what did they split? Did they get a banana split? What does that really mean? Good. I mean, because I love talking shop, but I don't really like to, get too technical and make it feel like, it's like, man, what's she talking about? She's talking over my head, because I know you get enough of that already. So excellent. We're just about up. Lastly, what I want to tell you is that if you haven't seen the last episodes of Get Wealthy, go to Black Star Network, download the app. If you haven't joined the WealthyU community, I want to invite you to join our WealthyU community on Facebook, and all of the episodes are there. So Dr. Sharon Deans and Tamika. But our next episode, I got to tease you, because next week is awesome too. We have an amazing young lady, Charity Davis Lowe, coming, and she is going to be sharing her journey to six figures, and it has been quite the journey. I can't wait. She's such a lovely, lovely young lady. You are not going to want to miss this. So here are your marching orders. We need your help, because we want to make sure we reach more women. If this has really edified you and you really feel like, man, I wish I had learned about this sooner, then I want you to make sure you invite your girlfriends, right? So invite your girlfriends, tell them about the insider code, introduce them to your WealthyU ambassador if you have one. If you're listening to this, go to WealthyUMasterclass.com, sign up for the Legacy Wealth Masterclass. You can still get 50% out just by using the code INSIDER, INSIDER. That's INSIDER. Invite a friend. Let's see who can invite the most friends to the Legacy Wealth Masterclass. I left out the best part. DJ Sean J in the house all day, man. He does the battles, Mary J. Blige. We could hear some Whitney Houston. We might hear some Chaka Khan, right? I mean, you name it. He is really in tune. He's going to level up the grooves. That's how I titled his theme, Keeping Up with the Theme. But again, I can't tell you how excited I am about how this year has started. We've got a lot of stuff planned for you ladies. I want you to continue to lean in so that you can accelerate your financial growth. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, founder and CEO of WealthyU, where we help Black women build their first investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond so that they can achieve the level of financial success they desire and deserve and create a wealthy legacy. And with that, I bid you all a good night.